You're listening to The People's Pitch, the official podcast of Minneapolis City Soccer Club, brought to you by footballstadiumprints.com. Let's start the show.
And as I talked about just a couple minutes ago, as Joe Watt stands over this one, he appears to be the one taking the penalty here. This is a huge confidence booster if you're Duluth.
Worst case scenario for City right here.
And it stopped! Yes! And it stopped!
Totally redeems himself.
Matt Elder redeeming himself. Oliver with the right foot. The shot is goal!
Oliver!
Justin Oliver will break the scoreless tie. And it is 1-0 Minneapolis City. Is Hutton now on the offense with the left foot.
Goal!
And it is now 2-0 Minneapolis City.
Good finish.
Nick Hutton taking his quick victory lap.
Welcome back to the People's Pitch, the official podcast of your Minneapolis City Soccer Club. I am your host, John, and alongside me, as always, is the voice of Minneapolis City Game Day, the Nate Morales. Nate, fall soccer is now over. Nobody we are directly connected to, in theory, won anything.
Nope.
But there was some success for a few members of the murder that we'll talk about in a little bit here. Are you ready to enter the actual 2-week off season before we ramp back up to things after Thanksgiving?
Yeah, with the 2 week, we take all this time as if it's our off season. It's just like, nope, we have actually 2 weeks. Otherwise, we just don't have our stuff together enough to do a podcast every week.
Well, soccer's all year round, and
That's true.
when you don't have stuff to talk about, why bore people with nothing to talk about?
But we're gonna do it this week. Little light, but that's all right. We've got some things to touch on. With the MIAC regular season coming to an end, and with that, it's awards time, MIAC awards time, which is cool. We'll report on all of that and talk about who shined, talk about who's heading to the dance. Do they still call it the dance?
I think so.
Even though it's soccer.
Yeah, the big show.
Yeah. NCAA tournament. John, back on that shit. He's in
Yep.
full swing with EAFC 24, and so finally I can talk to you about it. So we're gonna do that. But and then one more thing is the first open trial is coming up this weekend. So we want to talk about what those mean to the club and how that open trial process is going to work this offseason. Feels like it's hitting us early this year.
Yeah, there's a couple of them. So there's more than there usually are. So we'll talk about that in a second.
All right. Well, let's get going here. It's tournament time. Like I said, tournament time, baby. We talked all fall, every show, about how we should all be paying attention to the MIAC and all the city players that hit the pitch every week across the metro and the outstate area. And this last week was the big test for a lot of those players. And it ended with a championship for so many Minneapolis City players at St. Olaf.
Yeah, city players represented all four semifinal teams. You know, those four semifinal teams were McAllister, Gustavus, Carleton, and St. Olaf. But this past weekend, it was, a former player turned headman at St. Olaf, Justin Oliver, backed by another Crow, Matt Gibbons, who ultimately took the crown 4-3 on penalties over Gustavus. Did you catch any of it, Nate?
No, I didn't.
All right. Well, then let me tell you what happened, because I tuned in.
Sorry to say I did not.
Yeah, that's okay. You saw a lot of college soccer this fall. So the early parts of this game was all St. Olaf, from the jump. And the tide did turn for parts of it, but ultimately that early jump was basically culminated by the first goal in the game from City man Robbie the Bazooka.
The Booze.
Yep. The Booze. He had a nicely placed shot from the bottom left corner of Wesley Sanders. For those of you who follow the St. Croix Legends, Wesley Sanders of the St. Croix Legends, the goalkeeper for Gustavus beat him through traffic. It was kind of a nice kind of heat seeker, that he hit low and it kind of went through traffic, and Sanders really had no chance for it. And that lead, Nate, lasted for a whopping 1 minute and 13 seconds. And that's where the tide turned, because I think it woke Gustavus up, that Boozer goal. And they started to just pepper. There was I think they outshot the Ole's something like 13-5 or 13-6 in that time span. There was like almost 20 corner kicks in their favor. So they were hunting for the game winner, but that lead lasted, like I said, only a minute and 13 seconds when they got on the board with a close range putback by someone named Diego Pauline.
Nice.
He, a freshman, he was actually on the all-MIAC team, which we'll talk about here in a second as well. But that scoreline stood for the remainder of regulation and into overtime, seeing this game go to the penalty kick shootout, everyone's favorite, a way to end a soccer game. So after they traded makes, including City men Victor Gallman and Shea Bechtel chipping in, it took until the fourth round for something to actually happen. And that was former Futures goalkeeper Peter Forseth stopping Nick Katzman's penalty kick in the fourth round. And our guy, Hakeem Morgan, stepped up and slotted his kick in. And there's the lead, 4-3. And next up was another St. Croix legend, big Jared Hecht, who put his shot well over the crossbar. And it might actually still be traveling north. I mean, he did not hit anything. And that would do it. That's what gave the Olies their automatic bid into the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, congrats to the Olies, but all credit to Gustavus, John. I think they were able to turn it on when it counted to get to the championship. You see that a lot, right? It's just kind of top 6 make it. I think Gustavus ended up probably 4th seed. I can't really quite remember exactly, but
yeah, 3rd or 4th, something
right?
like that.
Because it was St. Olaf, of course, but Carleton was so good this year that they were the 2nd seed. Anyway, I think Gustavus throughout the season was a team that kind of was suffering from the increased parity that's in the MIAC. The talent level is just going up and up and up. So they come to Augsburg, they draw there. I think they dropped a game they probably shouldn't have early. It's a tough season for Gustavus, but all credit to them for sticking with it and getting to the championship, and it earned them an NCAA bid. So that's all's well that ends well, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
There were a number of players who made the all-conference teams this season that are city household names that we want to mention. They just announced all the all-conference awards this week. First of all, of course, the big one, Victor Gallman voted the offensive player of the year, and of course, first team all-MIAC. He recorded 5 goals and 6 assists in league play for the MIAC champion Olies, finishing the regular season ranked 2nd in the conference in points and in game-winning goals, and 3rd in goals. 5 goals got you 3rd place in the MIAC, which is...
Yeah, it was pretty top-heavy.
Yeah, I mean, you look at what Keba Janae did.
Yeah.
Hakeem Morgan, you're just like, oh, wow, 3rd.
That surprised me. I'll talk here in a second.
Yeah. But he ended up 3rd also in assists, which is also a little top-heavy when you consider what Harris and Munzing and those guys are doing. Victor Gallman, the lone player in MIAC men's soccer history to receive both the now retired Midfielder of the Year award, which they don't do anymore in 2021, is the 2nd consecutive Oli to be named MIAC Offensive Player of the Year. Shea Bechtel, his teammate, won it last year. So
yep. Well,
cool.
Here's my thoughts. Victor is by far, in my opinion, the best soccer player in the MIAC.
He's
for sure
phenomenal. Yep.
Phenomenal. I think definitely outkicking the coverage of most of the players from a talent perspective in the league. And then he plays alongside Hakeem Morgan, who just so happened to get an international call up. So that's it's tough to hear when you're like, Costa Rican under 23 international is not in my conversation for the best player, but Victor is a next level talent, and we did not get a chance to see a lot of Victor. He had some family stuff that he was dealing with back home in France. So this past summer, he chose to go home. I do believe, for all intents and purposes, he'll be coming back this summer, which I'm really excited about, because I do feel like the midfield piece from a consistency perspective for City missed Victor Gallman. Like that would have, I think Victor's skill sets to score, but also to get his other players and friends involved in his continuity between Shea and Hakeem Morgan. I think would have seen some more goals on the board, which, as we know, came at a premium for us this summer. And a lot of those close games could potentially have been maybe something that we pulled in our favor. Who knows? That's why you got to play the games. But, we're talking about Kevin Janae. I mean, how many goals did he score this year? So like 15, 16?
Yeah.
If you're talking about offensive player of the year, that award goes to Keba, in my opinion. And this is no bias at all here. That's just straight facts. I mean, from an offensive output perspective, he was the guy. But if you're talking about the player of the year in the conference, I think they should probably change. If they're taking away midfielder of the year, why don't you just call it like true player of the year? Should have been Victor. So I think that's what this award was, but they just call it offensive player of the year. And I think if I'm Keba, I'm a little perturbed because his offensive output was record breaking from Augsburg program perspective. So, that's
I'm wondering, like, I'm looking at this right now, actually, because I looked up the stats, and I'm wondering if they're only counting goals scored against MIAC opposition.
I mean, it doesn't matter.
Well, because Victor Gallman on the MIAC website has 13 goals.
Oh, maybe. What did Keba have?
15. So Keba still had more, and Jared Hecht had 10, which is crazy. But I guess my point is if he's third in goals and assists, 5 and 6, whatever we copied and pasted.
They probably are just counting that conference goals, which still, I mean, my sentiment really doesn't change.
No, I agree. I mean, 15 goals to 13 is more.
Right. And look at that Augsburg team from a goal scoring perspective. It was Keba.
Yep.
Right. And, Harris chipped in with some, so did Munzing. A few other role players got some goals for the Augies, but Keba carried that program this year from an offensive perspective. So anyways, I don't know who votes for it. Maybe the coaches do. But Victor, congratulations on your awards.
Yes.
I think that they were well-deserved. And hopefully your family stuff doesn't happen again this summer, and we can see you wearing the feather this year. So there were some other notable honorees, I guess you could call them. That's what they are. From a first-team all-MIAC perspective, was loaded with connections to the program here. Joining Victor Gallman was Shea Bechtel, Robbie Buzakovich, and Hakeem Morgan from St. Olaf. And then you had the trio of Harris, Keba Janae, Mitchell Munzing from Augsburg. Nick Kent getting the only defender out of all of these folks. These are all mostly midfielders and offensive players. Nick Kent got first-team all-MIAC. And so did Evan Siefkin, our number one that solidified the number one spot towards the end of the middle to the end half of the summer season for the USL2 team. So congratulations to those folks. And then from an honorable mention perspective, Noah Hermanson from St. John's, the defensive side of the Hermanson hive mind.
Mm-hmm.
He got honorable mention, as did goalkeeper Daniel Linder of the Futures program, who is with Carleton. And then Jordan Ross for Bethel, soccer Buddha, getting one of his guys in honorable mention. So Jordan Ross, congratulations to you guys. And then from an all tournament team perspective, you had Buzakovich, Gallman. They made it for St. Olaf, and then Misael Harris made it for Augsburg, and then the goalkeeping duo of Linder and Siefkin made it as well. So congratulations to all of the members of the Murder for continuing to put the work in. And from a coach of the year perspective, that went to Carleton coach Bob Carlson, making it his 5th MIAC Coach of the Year award. I personally believe that it could have gone to Justin Oliver. Your first head coaching experience at that level, and I mean, people are going to be like, well, they had all this talent. Well, yeah, but you still got to put it together. Mm-hmm. And I was at the game when they lost their home opener against University of Chicago, who was the last year's Division III champion. And I could tell how stressed he was about starting with the best team in the country, statistically on paper. But just knowing what he had to go through to, like, he had the new position at UW Stout. From men's perspective, they created that program. He was going to be the inaugural head coach there. Then Travis Wall goes back to Kenyon College, where he is an alumnus, leaves St. Olaf, leaves Justin Oliver, who was his number 2, in a great spot. Justin moves over a seat, knows the program, understands it, but that's still a big job for a 27-year-old.
Huge job.
Huge job. So you look at Bob Carlson, who's like 428 years old. He's been there before. That Carleton team did make a huge turn, but they underperformed, in my opinion, last year. And that's kind of the two sides of the coin, right? Carleton underperformed last year, played up to expectations this year, and were successful. For St. Olaf, was successful last year, complete overhaul of the coaching staff, and we're able to continue that, to continue to mold and massage that player group into a champion again. So I don't know. It's kind of 6 to 1, half dozen to another, but I would have given it to Justin.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I think I agree that Justin taking that spot over and taking it to the level that he has. I mean, he's obviously been an integral part of that program for a couple years now. So it's good, good for him to step in and show that he can lead it. But I think Carlton was just not good last year.
But they should have been.
So I think it's quite, when you couple it, it's quite the turnaround to get the program to where it was this year and to get them back into the tournament. Like, that's cool, I guess. I'm kind of, 50 of,
if you're looking,
what do you say, 6 of one, half dozen of the other. I mean,
yeah.
We know Justin, and I would have if Minneapolis City had Bob Carlson deserved it a little bit for rebounding his sad program.
I wouldn't call it a sad program.
It was last year.
If I were to actually give credit where credit is due from a coaching perspective, I would have looked at in a totally different area for Coach of the Year honors, and I would have looked towards Hamlin and St. Mary's, to be honest.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up, how good of a job Tyler and Jonah have done at Hamlin. Like, the results really were, I mean, let me look at that Hamlin
They're
record.
2-5-3 in the conference and 8-6-3 overall.
I mean, that's pretty good for a club. That program was, I joke about Carleton being not good last year, but Hamlin just was not in a good spot.
Well, and St. Mary's, let's look at the 2022 stats real quick. St. Mary's, MIAC men's soccer standings 2022. Okay, let's look at the difference here. Okay, in 2022, St. Mary's was 0-9-1 with a 3-12-3 overall record, and Hamlin was 2-8 with a 5-12 record. Then you go into this season, and St. Mary's goes from winless to, in the MIAC, to 2-5-3, same as Hamlin, and 6-6-5, 500 record. And Hamlin went from 2-8 to 2-5-3, and they went from 5-12 to 8-6-3. So
not bad.
I mean, if you're calling it like actual Coach of the Year and not whose team had the most successful run, there's some conversation to be had there. But anyways, we don't need to belabor that because we don't make the decisions.
No, so, I mean, just in general though, you can say that the injection of talent into the MIAC over the last couple of years has included coaching, which is great to see.
Yeah, and I hate to rain on Jeremy's parade at Bethel, but they made the tournament last year, the conference tournament last year, and they were third to last this year. So again, there's the talent parity, right?
Yep. Yeah. Hits everyone a little different, right? I mean, he caught up with Jordan. I think they got Jordan Ross. They had a couple other guys. But I think, he's Raj Basnet, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So they're trying, and I think they added Samo to the staff, right? Yeah. So everyone's trying to level up. Everyone's got to keep up with the big dog.
Yeah, but Concordia still sucks, and so
the Cobbers.
So apparently does Saint Scholastica.
Yeah.
Oh, how the mighty have fallen once the British invasion left. But anyways, congratulations to all of the honorees, coaches and players, and congratulations to the Olies for winning the all-MIAC dance bid.
Mm-hmm. The NCAA tournament is around the corner, and it's going to be exciting to follow our MIAC friends. But of course, we also have to keep an eye on the likes of New Hampshire, North Carolina, and more as the Division I bracket is going to come into focus this weekend, right, John?
Yep, and there's also some former Crows that are playing that did not feature with us last summer that are also got some at-large bids as well. And you know what? I haven't checked in on guys like Carson Pena and Gierche.
I don't know if Radford or Campbell.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they won their conference.
Powerhouses. We'll see.
We'll see. But there's also there's also some guys that are sprinkled out through other places. You have Andrew Shazinski, who's at Boston. They had a pretty decent season, and you never know what's happening in their conference tournament right now. So, we'll check in on that for next time.
Well, this is nothing new. This next topic is nothing new for a lot of us. I think we've been playing EAFC since September, but John getting EAFC 24, and it sounds like that was Gus's mistake because you have totally taken the controller. And it's new game. EA kept the franchise really, and I think the worry last year was like, well, what's FIFA going to do? Are they going to release a game? I don't think they have their S together enough to release a game. So it turns out
they're like the NPSL.
I mean, unless Saudi Arabia can make a game for them, I'm not sure they're going to be able to release one anytime soon.
They probably have one in Saudi Arabia.
Anyway, so I think so EAFC comes out. It's got some different mechanics. It's just got a different feel. It's got the same systems that you love if you're like an Ultimate Team fanatic. They've added a couple things in the manager mode and the career mode, and it's just overall feeling like the evolution of the game that we've been waiting for years and years, when they've just been like adding some minor stuff. But John, let's get to your first thoughts on the game, because you've kind of been out of the FIFA. I don't know. You've been out of the FIFA game for a couple years since you stopped getting it for free.
I'm in it, but I was okay. So here's my take on it. I was not going to buy it, like you mentioned. By I don't know, some higher power. My 7-year-old gets into it and is like playing last year's version, and then was like, I went to my friend's house and he has a different one and it's better. Can we get it? And I'm like, God damn it. Yes, we can. So obviously some chore money was involved in that. So put him to work, a little teachable lesson. And then, as I put on Twitter, I taught him a lesson last night in FIFA or in EAFC, but, I love it. I mean, I was very skeptical because I was like, is it just going to be the same shit, different day again? Are they going to take all of the feedback and all the criticism and actually do something with it? And I think that they did. You have some notes in here, so I don't want to go too deep into what you want to talk about. I'll add my flavor into that. But I think that from an overall soccer game perspective, I think it's still not the best one. I think that Pro Evo, like mid 2000s, like Pro Evo, maybe 2010, was probably the best mechanics for a soccer game ever made. And I, from time to time, will go into the Wayback Machine and load up my Xbox 360 and I'll play it because it's so good. It's like it feels like a real soccer game and you can control it like that. But I do feel that if you're talking about like advanced systems, that this is getting up there and it's their first installment. So I think that it's going to get better.
Yeah.
But I've been playing since 1994 when it was EA International Soccer. And I will say it's much better than that. And there's a lot of highlights that make it more special for me as how I like to play it. So
wow. All right.
There you go.
Well, let's I think, John, the thing to talk about are the 3 or 4 big changes this year is for sure the dribbling for me. There's a much bigger emphasis on dribbling. You can't just be a speed merchant and hope to burn down the wing past the players.
But you can't.
You can, yep, but it's harder, right? You have to make sure your tactics are right. You got to hug the
I don't
sideline.
think it's harder. I think it's actually easier.
Really?
To be able to beat players. Okay, so here's where I'm getting out of my bullshit now.
All right, here we go.
I feel that the dribbling was always my problem. I always move the ball and pass it like I'm playing soccer because I'm not a dribbler by trade on the soccer field, and I always use passing, and I fucking hated their passing, which we'll talk about in play styles here in a bit. But dribbling, I think that they made it easier with the right stick, with the right stick, quick movements that you can do when you see the momentum of the defender moving in a direction. You can cut different ways, but also the dynamic like sprint touch into space. I think if you time that correctly, you can run by people on the end line pretty easy if you can time it correctly. To get to the ball before a defender and not hit it out of bounds, obviously, because it's real easy to kind of be on a diagonal and then the ball goes out of bounds and you're like, I could have had an opportunity there. But I think they made it easier to dribble in traffic, but also to beat people one-on-one in space.
Yeah, I mean, the dribbling in traffic is for sure, like, it's just rat heaven, I think. If Israel is listening, I think this game, this version of the game so far, this meta is made for him to be able to just left stick dribble all over people, and it's super hard to get used to if that's not your game, it was not mine. I'm like you, John, where I was just content to move the ball. I was a real big like tiki-taka passing kind of guy. I love setting up and moving through the midfield. I was not the kind of guy that's able to 1v1 people as far as off the dribble. So this has taken some getting used to, and I'm learning. But FIFA did introduce something that's really cool this year, and that's the what is it? I guess the R1 if you're on PlayStation. The R1 dribble, the like controlled.
Yep.
It's not quite a sprint. It's not quite a controlled dribble. It's like a controlled sprint dribble. I can't remember what they call it, and it's just broken, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I
agree.
You turn it on and you just split the defenders and there's nothing anyone can do with it. If you're in the box and you find some space and you control dribble for like 2 touches, you're through.
Yep. I think so too.
It makes the game so much fun, but also so
really
frustrating.
Does. It really does. Yeah. Oh yeah.
The other thing EA added this year were these play styles. I don't know if you've played around with them a lot, or on the Ultimate Team side, they're definitely more prominent as far as like if you need someone with a certain play style at a certain position in order to succeed early in the meta, and those were the players that rose in price on the market, and those are the ones that were being used more and more in Ultimate Team. I'm not really sure, John, if the play styles are your thing, or if you really care about it.
They haven't really transferred into what I do.
Yeah.
I don't play Ultimate Team. I did enter an online tournament last weekend though.
Oh.
But it wasn't an Ultimate Team. It was very similar to the E-Cup, where you just kind of joined in. Everyone was nerfed at 80, and it was all Xbox folks, and it was really fun. But
Nice.
The play style stuff didn't translate, so I don't have any skin in that game.
You mentioned passing. Talk to me about what you like, or because you always have shit on the passing as long as I've known you in these games.
Because I like to point in the direction I want the ball to go, and I like it to go there.
Now you can.
I would like to point towards a guy who is in a direction where there's 2 guys and hold down the pass button harder to make it go to the guy who's further away. Thank Christ, they finally fixed it. Oh my God. I cannot tell you how, like, the first game I played it, I follow a cadence. I load the game up. I jump into a game. I put it on very low difficulty so I can kind of futz around a little bit. And my first 3 passes, I was like, oh, what do we have here? And then after getting some training matches in, I upped my difficulty level, and I turned assisted passing off. And I go full manual for passing, and I can drop dimes in paper bags, man. Like the passing unassisted is if you can point the right directions, and it's tougher because you can undercook and overcook passes.
Yeah.
But if you have the timing down between your left and right thumbs as far as who you're pointing to and how hard you're hitting the ball, you can pass the ball so sweet. And I love that fact that they fixed that finally, because soccer is about kicking a ball, and they figured out how to make shooting better over the years, and passing stayed the same. It sucked, but now it's good. So I like it. Love it.
That is good. I also I would agree. I think the passing's a little slower sometimes. Like you need to really be picking your spots. But back to play styles, John. There is this whipped pass play style that my left back has, and it is awesome. I mean, that's what they did with play styles, and why I like some of how their effect on the game, whether it's passing, shooting, whatever, is it just kind of codifies what makes players good anyway.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would agree.
Right. So like there's the pinged pass, there's the tiki-taka, there's when in the passing zone, there's the whipped pass, and some of the players like were performing like this anyway, and so it's nice to be able to just be like, this is a player you can count on for this. And not only that, but we're going to make it really fucking good for them. So
yeah,
it makes like I said, it makes the game super fun because you can build the team to how you play and have some fun with it that way. If you're not concerned about, winning tournaments and the meta and things like that, and getting up to, Elite One and getting the top rank foot champs, like you can just play and have fun with a team that fits your play style. And I really like it. Defensively though,
yes,
it's been really hard on people.
Well, has it been hard on you? Because I have some tricks.
Okay, go.
Well, so from a defensive perspective, you have to have collective team defending now, and you cannot go too far on a walkabout with a player from a positional perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So the coverage of like taking your center back and tracking a forward that is checking back, you can't do that anymore. You have to stay in your back line as a central defender.
Yeah.
So the key really is your defensive center midfielder or midfielders. You really need two players shielding your back line that can get up and back. So one of them has to be able to get up and back, and one has to just kind of sit there. So if the ball goes out wide, you can do more on the ball 1v1 defending with, someone with speed. But if the ball's going through the middle, you really have to defend with your midfielders and let your back line stay solidified. Before you could if you drew, say there was a through ball into a corner and you try to draw your center back out there, if you do that now, it's basically an automatic goal. I mean, unless your goalkeeper makes a save, you have to just drop your back line into the box and then try to bring a midfielder over. And once I figured that out, and I was playing as better competition, because I do play online a little bit, not Ultimate Team, but I like at the tournament I joined. Once I figured that out, like the games were like 7-5, and then it was like 3-1. Or I wasn't leaking goals anymore. I was giving one up for against good players, but I wasn't giving up 7.
Yeah, I think that was you struck on it right there. You need to keep your form, and especially because of the new advancements in dribbling, you just can't make mistakes. So keep your shape, right? And like you said, use your defensive midfielders, one or two of them, to just track back. The other thing I found, John, is like don't sprint as much.
Yep.
Like when you're in and around the box and you're a defender, just use your left stick and just move. And it works a lot better. And don't hit don't hit your tackle buttons either, because then that stops you. That puts you out of position. So defending was a little different this year. A lot of people had a hard time getting used to it because of all the advancements, but it's people are figuring it out. You figured it out.
Yep. And then with that comes my next point, which is tackling. Tackling is a difficult one for me to kind of like. I don't really know how to start this. if you go to ground, the refereeing pretty much gives you a yellow card or a foul. Like,
Yeah.
Which is what we're seeing in normal soccer. Like, you can't get the ball and then get the man anymore. Like, it's automatically a foul. But so that translates over. But what I like about tackling is, from a stand-up tackle perspective, you can go unassisted in tackling as well, and you can hold the button down longer for a standing tackle that needs more of a lunge, or you can kind of tap it, or kind of tickle it a little bit, Nate.
Just tickle the button.
Yeah, just tickle the button a little bit, and then you can kind of like shorter stabs that don't leave you in a lunge that anyone can go around. And also with sliding tackles, when you take assisted off, you can go in and absolutely clear people out. But you can also go to ground and slide and not be as aggressive. So I like how they did that. So it's almost like the same sensitivity they did with shooting, they applied to passing and tackling now, which I really like. But it's all things you have to do with taking assistance off. So I know a lot of people like to keep assistance on, because it does get very difficult and very complex if you are taking that off. So I like that one. I really like that one too.
One of the things I mentioned, John, with all these before is evolutions, and I know that you don't play Ultimate Team, so this is going to be either you don't care about it or it's going to blow your mind. This idea that you can take cards, it's like there's just more ways. EA has figured out more ways to cheese the market.
Yep.
Because now they can drive demand for no name, nobody cards through these evolutions, where all of a sudden they'll release an evolution and say only people with these stats can qualify. And then you put them in the evolution, you have to play X number of objectives, and then they evolve into a better player, John. And so you take someone like, who's your guy on United? Garnacho. So you take a guy like Garnacho, who's rated a 77 gold common, just like absolute discard card in the game. And suddenly he's in demand because his evolution or something. Or Malacia, who's another one of your United guys, who I think is like a bronze rare card that is, again, like a 200 coin discard card, but now he's extinct because he's one of the top candidates for this other evolution, right? So again, just another way to drive the market, but also another way, like I mentioned, to just be able to like play the game that you want to play, like play for fun. I got Serge Gnabry on an evolution right now, playing him as striker, just because, like, why not? I'll make him an 87 ranked striker just by playing some squad battles and having some fun. It's cool. It adds an interesting dimension, but like, it's not necessary either to win.
Yep.
But again, not something that translates to what you do. What does translate? What are the things that you like that translate to how you play the game?
I mean, I think I touched on all of them. I think it's basically like how dynamic the play has become, with your ability to translate how you want to play the game. Like, do you want to play like a soccer player? Or do you want to cheat the meta? And or do you want to be a dribbler? Do you want to be a passer? Do you want to get direct? How do you want to defend? Do you want to defend high as a group? Do you want to, and also the ability to like change your formation and your positions of players. I know that was kind of like the evolution of that started to come, where you could kind of tell different positions or different positional groups what to do within your system, like through
you can set up your tactics, your custom tactics, which I love.
Custom tactics. So like that's evolved to be a little bit more dynamic, I think, as well. So I think it all translates. But one thing that we didn't talk about, Nate, that I love to death are the mini games.
What?
I am just a mini game freak when it comes to this. Like, I spent hours just like working on the passing and working on the crossing and the defending. I just go into those, and like I'll even go in like, it sounds super nerdy, but it's just like I'll go in like a normal like soccer situation, and I'll like go to the mini games before I play a game, and I'll like do a couple to practice, and then I'll go try to apply it into the game. I know it sounds super nerdy, but the mini games are great. I still wish they had the ones from like the mid 2000s where you could like sit and kick the balls in the trash cans. Like that stuff was great. You get messy and you just hit long balls into trash cans. It was I can't get the hours I sunk into that back. But they're starting to like bring more of that stuff back again, and you can readily get to them. Like the 1 year where I think it was maybe 2016 when they took those away, and I was like, "What are you doing?" Like you couldn't even do, you know how like they'll just throw you into a mini game like before a match.
Yeah, as the game's loading. That was great.
Yeah, that's great. And they took that away, but there was where they took them all the way, and they didn't even have those, and you're just like some asshole on a field by yourself with a goalkeeper, and you're like, what is this doing? Like, what? This is stupid.
Yeah, we saw that in all of our Foot City and our and the E-Cup stuff is just like that was the loading screen basically while both players got ready. It's just like, oh, I can practice first person dribbling. Fun.
Yeah, I can like, I can dribble it to the 18-yard box and everyone shoots then. So it's like this is stupid. But yeah, the mini games are back. So I love it. So in my opinion, if we're giving it out of 10 stars, I think it's like a good 8.5.
Wow. Mm-hmm. That's high praise for you.
Yeah, it is. It's because they fixed the things that I fucking hated.
Can you just picture somebody like dusting off an email of yours from 2017 and being like, "Hey, you guys, have you ever thought about this? Like, look what I just found." So a bunch of old dudes in a weird basement, and like all the like emails are coming through via tubes.
Yeah, like Pepe Silva.
Your tube just got like lost.
Well, I mean, when I was fortunate enough to be part of the testing group, I always was like, fix the passing, and I started that in 2005. And I went.
You wrote enough angry letters.
I went from 05 to 17, so 12 years.
It's pretty good.
And finally they fixed it. Another 10 years later. So yeah, probably they just dusted off my emails. I did 1 year mention that the standing tackle was too much of a lunge and that it should be more of like a foot out, but able to be recoverable. Now that's back.
Actually,
so maybe what happened is that I was blacklisted by FIFA, like the federation, for something.
This guy.
And then EA Sports was like, oh, well, we'll give this guy a shot now. I don't know. Who knows? But anyways, go buy it. I think it's worth it. And Black Friday's coming up, so you're going to end up getting the sweet EA deals that they usually have every Black Friday, where I think you can maybe buy one, get one on EA games. But I think I saw that you can buy one, get one half price on Amazon.
Oh, that's sweet. What a Black Friday deal.
If there's another game that you're looking at or if there's another game you had your eye on that's a little more expensive and you want to get
that
FIFA,
Spider-Man game?
Yeah, you can get something like that. Yep.
Hey, we're not making any money off this, so let's stop talking about it.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, so let's go back to real soccer. So it's that time of year again where we're about to hit the trial cycle, Nate, with our team's first open trial.
Weird.
This is right. That kind of just came fast. The open trial has been a mainstay for the club since year one, when literally like 2/3 of the roster was vetted during those open trials, because that was what we had. But since then, we have a couple quick stats that I wanted to share that, I don't know who put these together, but good on them. Since 2016, there have been 425 players that have trialed for Minneapolis City, which is that one sticks out. It's pretty staggering that almost 500 players. I think we'll exceed the 500 mark this year. That's crazy. That's crazy math right there. 36 players were selected to active rosters from the open trial since 2016. So that is a true sentiment that, yes, it's not, 300 out of the 425, but 36 players to come through like an off the street trial is unheard of anywhere. in my opinion. Like at no other level, or I shouldn't say it's no other level, but no advanced level of soccer, professional down through USL2 being professionally amateur, no other team can put stats like that together. Guaranteed.
Yeah, I don't know. I was looking at those stats and I'm just like, is that a big deal? But it sounds,
it's a huge deal. I mean, if you're paying $75 for a chance, or $50, or even $30, and there is no chance that you, even if you are good enough, that you're going to make the team because they already have their mind up, or they're bringing back the guys from last year or whatever. And it's a cash grab like that. This is the proof in the pudding right here, that we cast a wide net. And if you are good enough and you come through this avenue, you will get a chance. 21 of the last stat here, 21 is the number of players that the club has called back to fill roster needs that were not initially selected. So then if you add those two numbers together, you're looking at 57 players out of 425.
That's a big number.
Yeah. So 21 players on top of the ones that were selected were good enough to continue to stay on the radar and be invited back and fill needs. So that just tells you that if you trial for Minneapolis City, whether it be first team, futures, whatever, how you handle the rejection is pretty serious for us around here, because it doesn't mean that you're not good enough. You might just be not what we're looking for, but if you can find another opportunity, great. But if you truly want to play with the club, handle the rejection well, come back, prove us wrong, or get the call back. So I think that's a pretty big one. And the last one was that, there's a couple notable players. I picked three off the top of the list that came directly through the open trial process. And that was Max Kent, Jonah Garcia, and Will Kidd. And those are three names that people from Minneapolis City fandom know very, very well. So you got two of our best center backs ever to play in the club, and our all-time leading goal scorer all came through the open trial process.
Can you just picture you were there, so of course you can, but I'm just maybe asking the listeners, could you picture little Will Kidd as, what was he, just entering his freshman year of college, showing up like, maybe I'm going to see what this will do for me this summer?
Well, what I think about is not only just Will Kidd, but in our first open trial, you had both the Olivers, you had a whole bunch of players that either ended up coming back into the system, or players that never did, that were like NPSL players, mainstays that were just not selected by Keith Kicker in year one. Because he had done his, he and I kind of worked together on the recruiting trail, and we really tried to bring in a lot of the Division I talent that was, obviously, because we're looking at, making Minnesota soccer better. We went to the out-of-state guys that and, then some of the guys at the Division III level that were out of state, like Sam Well, that was at Messiah, and AO, who had just finished up at Trinity. So it's like those guys, they were already penciled into the roster, but then you get guys like Will Kidd, and you're like, holy shit, we got something here.
Look what we have here.
Yeah, exactly. So what I'm basically trying to get at is this process really does mean something to us, and it gives players a true shot at making the roster versus a cash grab, like I mentioned. And we take it very seriously. Like, the evaluation process is very thorough. I'm going to be joining up again this year to evaluate players, and I know for a fact, and I can go back in my files, and I can pull out every Excel file of every year with every player on it, and there is a comment from at least one coach on every single player. So if you do come to the trial and you're listening, if you do make the team, we will tell you why, and if you don't make the team, we will tell you why. And again, how you handle the no is something that I know the coaching staff loves to bring up before the session even starts. That it might be a no, but not a no forever. It might be a no for now because of certain reasons. We don't need 7 center backs. Well, some years we do because of injury. But we don't need 6 goalkeepers. We don't need, 10 strikers. We need certain players to fit in with the players that are eventually coming back. And that's just how soccer is. You're never going to overhaul a team every single year. So, if your position doesn't fit for right now and it does in 2 months, like pick up that phone, answer it, take the rejection well. And if the same phone number rings again, pick it up because you're coming to the show.
Yeah,
so,
they're not just calling you to be like, hey, remember when you didn't make our team? That's all. Just fucking with you.
Right. So, right. Like, hey, man, how you doing?
Just trying to ruin your day real quick.
Still out of shape? Just checking. So I welcome anyone who has the desire to try to make the club. Please come out and join us, and let's see what you got.
And soccer is getting, the level of local soccer players is getting better and better every year. And it has gotten it's just blown up since 2016. So you just never know who you're going to see. You never know who's going to crawl out of the woodwork or who's going to show some interest. So for sure, it's the trials are an exciting time. And what comes out of the trials it's an exciting thing to discover for supporters and for members. And we'll get to that in just a second. Thank you all. I got to do what the trial is. First, I got to tell you when the trial is. It's Saturday, November 10th, 2 days. 2 days from tonight. So that's actually Friday, November 10th, 2023, from 7:30 to 9:30. I think there's probably like less than 5 spots left. So if you're interested, you should probably sign up right now. The time is 7:30 to 9:30 at Winter Park in Eden Prairie, which is a really nice facility, by the way.
Really close to me. So that's awesome.
That's a bonus. So you can go hang out with John when you're done. Registration fee is $75. And like John said, it's not just a cash grab. It pays for things like our coaches. It pays for things like the field.
The space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. The ex-Vikings training facility. So if you're interested, go to mplscitysc.com. You got to go under club in the navigation for all the sign-up information.
Yep. Do it all right there.
Yeah. All right.
See you on Friday.
We'll see you. That's it. Thank you for listening to this week's show. Thank you to our show sponsor, footballstadiumprints.com. By far, one of my favorite episodes was talking to footballstadiumprints.com and understanding where
we gotta talk to him again.
His business model. And so much has been going on in the world of soccer. He's got opinions on it, from his perch in the Cayman Islands. But anyway, if you're in the market for a supremely curated soccer-focused graphic design on anything from mugs to T-shirts to prints, which I've got on my wall right behind me that you won't see because this is audio, you head over to footballstadiumprints.com and you fill your cart up. And don't forget, you can use that code CROWS10 for 10% off everything you purchase. Plus, it's not like some of those other things, like when you're buying gear from the UK where you got to pay extra shipping. No way. All U.S. orders are going to ship right here from the United States, so there's no international shipping charges or delays. Hey, remember, Minneapolis City is a 501c3. Make sure you beef up that tax deduction ahead of next year through a charitable gift to the club. You've only got about a month and a half left. Oh my God, it's November. Memberships for if you just want to join up, I think this is the time to get your memberships for the 2024 season. They are on sale now. I think we are in mid-scarf voting mode. If you want to vote for the scarf, you got to get a membership.
Kit voting is coming soon.
Oh my God, kit voting is coming, John. We have a sneak preview. I'm not even going to say it. They're so good. You got to be a member to get that info earlier and to be able to vote on these important things for the club next year. It's never too early. Cement your seat in the stands, and you're going to get the scarf. You're going to get the membership card. That you're going to get the passes. The player, not the player passes. You hand them out to your friends. What do you call them? What's the word for that? Anyway,
flex tickets.
Thank you. You get all that stuff. You head on over to Minneapolis City, mplscitysc.com. You get yours today. If you want to get a hold of us and tell us how bad we are at reading these outros, we've been bad for 7 years at it. But we've made it simple. Hit the club up on Twitter at MPLSCitySC, or you can talk to us specifically at the show at The People's Pitch. And that's all on that platform called X, or via email, mcscpodcast@gmail.com. And that's all for this week. I'm Nate. That was John. There's lots going on in the club. You heard it from Adam Pribble. Changes are happening. So stay tuned. And until then,
Good shape. Trial's coming.
Hey, buddy. Still a little fluffy.